Hi guys and gals, welcome back to the shop. Today I'm reviewing this quick clamp from Aldi's. They say you can never have enough clamps, so when I saw this thing at Aldi's I thought, heck, why not try it out, give it a shot. Can't be any worse than the Harbor Freight piece of junk. And I bought a couple other tools at Aldi's. I got this here, fancy digital calipers. Yeah, I'm going to review that later on. Seems to work alright, but it does have a fatal flaw. And I've also gotten, my first tool purchase at Aldi's was these fancy work zone chisels. Yeah, these are actually pretty nice. A lot of guys you'll see on YouTube use these because, well, first of all, they're super cheap and they actually work pretty well. So I'll review these ones too. These are actually a good find. So I assumed that, well, you know what they say when you assume, but I thought maybe since I got those chisels and they were pretty nice that this thing would be pretty nice too, but I was sorely mistaken. So first thing I found that I liked about it was that it's actually pretty long. I have these little shorty Irwin quick clamps that I've been using for a long time, and they don't have a whole lot of distance between the jaws. Yeah, only like 6.5 inches. And these have a little over a foot. So it's kind of nice to have that extra distance. When I was building some shelves, these came in pretty handy. So that's a good thing. I also noticed that they're pretty heavy and this bar is super sturdy. Yeah, it doesn't have like any flex in it at all. I was surprised how rigid it is. I can't even really twist it at all. And when you slide it back and forth, it works decently, but now that the bar has started to get kind of beat up, it doesn't slide quite as well as it used to. One nice thing is that they're reversible, so you can undo this end and flip that around. Well, here, I'll show you how you can do this. One thing I don't like in these quick clamps is when they make these so you can turn them into spreaders, for some reason they never epoxy this nut in there or keep it held in there anyway, so it's always falling out. Like, why wouldn't you just put a little dab of epoxy in there and hold it in there? So then when you take it apart, it's easier to put back together and you don't lose that little nut. I don't know. That's crazy talk, I guess. Alright, so there you go. Now it's in the spreading position, which is handy to have every once in a while. You don't use that too often, but it is kind of nice to have that option. Alright, so we went over the good stuff. It's pretty long, seems pretty sturdy, at least the bar does. And what was the other thing? Oh yeah, you can use it as a spreader. So let's go into the bad stuff. Okay, let's tighten her down and see if we can leave any marks. I don't want to get it too tight because these clamps have a fatal flaw, which I'll show you in a little bit. Let's see here. Can you see that right there? Yeah, you can see that. You can see little dimples in the outline there. Yeah, so these jaws are they're too hard. The plastic they're made out of is too tough. So, not the right material. If you compare it to these Irwin ones, it's like a nice soft-ish rubber. So I've never had these leave a mark on even a softwood, which is a good feature to have. So there's one problem. Now the other big problem, I'll show you what happens when you try to clamp too hard. It's got this nice long handle, so you can really apply a lot of pressure. maybe this one isn't going to do it. Maybe this is a good one. I think this one is actually going to hold. Let me grab one of the other ones. What happens is there's a little part in this handle that'll pop loose. What the heck? Alright. Maybe they're actually going to stay together. Well, I'll take it apart so you can see what I'm talking about here. Okay. So the handle is connected on both sides of this, well, this plate that covers it, and then the main body of it. It's just connected with this little tiny pin, and the recess that this pin fits into on both sides is just, it's not very deep. So what'll happen is that as you're, let's put this back together here. As you're reefing on this thing, if you put a lot of force, it'll actually pry this thing open right here. It'll start to pry that open, and that little tiny rod that it's pivoting on will just pop right out, fall on the floor, and get lost in a bunch of wood chips. Then you gotta go digging around for it. If you had a magnet, that would be a good idea. Pick it up with that. So I was actually really surprised that this one did not pop open. So maybe I do have a couple good ones. I have one that this plate actually broke right where it connects, right where that little rod connects there. It broke when I was using it. So maybe I'm just too strong. I don't think that's really the problem. I think they just, well, all they needed to do was make that rod go all the way through, or make this piece thicker so that it would have more material to bear on. It's really a pretty sturdy, stiff material. Not sure what it is. Some sort of plastic. And when you look at the insides, it's actually pretty sturdily made. So I'll show you how this thing works here, as long as I got it open. When you pull on this handle, it moves those two little metal plates, and they grab the bar, move it forward, and then this bar with the spring on it, that is grabbing it so it keeps that distance that it's pulling. So this bar right here that releases, this is the one that is keeping it from moving backwards. And these two bars, when you lever it with the handle, are moving it forward. So pretty ingenious, pretty sturdy. I mean, these springs look pretty heavy duty. These metal bars here, they're not flimsy. So overall, the thing is not really, it's not poorly built, but there's just a couple little details that they didn't think about. So unfortunately, otherwise it would be a really good tool. I was doing a little research to try to figure out what some of this writing on this meant. So this GS is actually like a German standard for safety they use on tools and whatnot. So that means that it's certified under this German safety standard, which I guess is good. And then I was curious about all this stuff here, obviously German looking words. This Ovabel whatever company, that's actually just the name of a German tool and like home supply making company. So I'm gonna guess that this isn't actually made in Germany. but I don't see any like Chinese export or anything like that on it. Yeah, been looking and I haven't been able to find anything that suggests where it's made. I suppose if I had the original packaging, it would probably say on there. That would have been good to keep it, but oh well. So overall, this thing is not really that bad, but it's not great either. And I guess my main complaint is that 2 out of the 4 that I bought had that problem. I guess maybe that I don't have them anymore because I just chucked them or something, the ones I broke. So they would pop this part of the handle out when you put a lot of force under it. One minor complaint I have is that if you really reef on these things, they're a little bit hard to pop open, but they're not as bad as the Harbor Freight ones. So overall, they're a lot better than these Harbor Freight ones. These things I would never recommend anybody buy. But so I don't know. It's kind of a mixed bag. These pads suck because they put marks on your wood. This part can come apart. It can pop the handle out. And then my suggestion would be, and I bought some little bolts to do this, is if that's a problem for you, just drill a hole through both sides to line up with the hole in the handle, and then you can just tighten up that nut on there, and then you're not going to have that problem with it popping that little metal piece out, the little thing that it's pivoting on. So you can fix that. I guess you could put some plywood pads on there or something, or MDF or something like that, and fix it. So if you see it in Aldi's and you want to pick them up, go ahead. One of the weird things with Aldi's is that all these tools are seasonal. So I don't remember, I think it was late winter or early spring that I picked these up last year. I don't remember. So you got to keep an eye out for it. That's how they get you at Aldi's. They have all these weird things that they only bring out certain times of the year. Like right now, because it's getting close to Christmas, they have all these strange German cookies that look really good. And of course, they're only going to have them for a little while because they're for Christmas. But all times of year, during summer, they're going to have special plants. So it's part of their business model to get you to come back, is because you never know what they're going to have, which is kind of ingenious. But it's also a little frustrating because if you find something that you like, that doesn't mean that it's going to be there next time. Like if I really like these, or better example was I actually really like these. And so if they sold these all year round, that would be kind of nice. Although I already have 2 sets, so I don't really need more. But yeah, you got to wait until these come around again. I think these are in the spring. So same thing with the calipers. I don't know when those were. So if you go to Aldi's, or you know somebody that goes to Aldi's, ask them to keep an eye out for what they got there. So because they always have some strange stuff. I've seen a circular saw. I've seen a multi-tool. I've seen a drill driver, socket sets, all kinds of stuff. Okay, so I'm going to go back on what I said before. Do not buy these. And the reason is that I bought 4 of these, and 2 of them came apart and didn't work, and it involved work to get them back together and to work properly. Whereas I bought these like 10 years ago, and they've never stopped working, and I've never spent a single minute trying to get them to work again. So even though maybe I probably paid twice as much per one of these, twice as much per clamp for these, but it saved me time, and frustration. So can you really put a value on time and on frustration? That's hard to do. So go out and buy yourself some of these Irwin quick clamps if you want to have some quick clamps. Do not buy these. All right. Thanks for watching. See you next time, if there is a next time.